Hello everyone, welcome back to my reading of Fate Labyrinth. We're on to Act 3. Last time the battle's about to explode as kind of all parties are meeting up here and Manaka and Castor are having their own little tete-a-tete going on. So let's see what happens. Are we gonna get the whole party together? Or is it gonna be a fight? I don't know. We'll have to see. Let's get started. With just a single servant, we would have already been defeated. The third floor of the dark labyrinth, deep underground, in a corridor whose ceilings seemed to stretch on endlessly, as if touching the heavens, a vast horde had gathered. Chimeras growled, flexing their highly developed muscles. Golems boasted terrifying mass. Automata raised sharp spider-like legs. The sight of the massive swarm of monsters surging forth was like the arrival of a legion that brought certain death in its wake. In fact, I would have certainly died if I was alone. Even a single heroic spirit would likely have done the same. Archer's arrows could strike down foes from a distance, but they could not kill dozens at once. That's a lie. He's in a Muso. He could absolutely do that, but, I mean, mind you, they're not as strong as, probably, Chimeras, Golems, and Automata, right? They're just random NPC programs. Assassin's right hand could fell a Chimera, which they've been capitalizing. So I'm going to keep the capitalization going. Could fell a Chimera with a single strike, but it was ineffective against an Automata. They've also been... Well... Do I want to do capitals? I'm seriously concerned about overuse of capitalization. For now, let's just focus on... We'll change it for sake there, but I might think about that because... Chimera I get, but Golem... and Automata, they feel generic enough that they could be lowercase, but it's more capitalization drama. That's okay. For now, I'll just keep it consistent. Castor's spells, even if they had astonishingly suppressive might, were not infinite. And even Saber, when faced with such overwhelming numbers, could not shield her master forever. But what if all of these servants executed flawless synchronized coordination? I knew it. I knew that you'd work perfectly together. In the midst of countless clashes of blades, I heard Seijo Manaka's voice. So that heard? I guess, because I guess you're still hearing. In the midst of countless battles, yes, you had a smile on your face. Firstly, in the swarm of monsters, Archer and Assassin danced, at times firing a seemingly endless torrent of arrows, stopping the agile beasts in their tracks, at times using a deadly right hand to touch the thick hide on a beast's chest, crushing the heart that appeared within it. There they were, dancing as if fighting, fighting as if dancing. With each breath I saw it, the horde was systematically crushed. It was difficult even for me to spot the two of them with their stealth noble phantasms and aura-concealing skills. But, with my consciousness focused on Manaka's gaze in that moment, I could catch sight of them, standing back to back between breaths, staring down the Chimera horde. The beasts growled warily at the two servants, who seemed to appear out of nowhere. If they were me, they'd be cowering in fear. But they didn't seem to care at all. They knew full well that it wasn't the beasts who were in control of the situation. It was them. Probably. Definitely. Alrighty, what do we do next? Give the word, boss. Archer was nonchalant. His long arm unfurled. The man in the white mask didn't reply right away. What's with the silent treatment? My right hand is meant to condemn humans, but with a little adjustment, it can also condemn these grotesque lives. Sure, I get that. I keep telling you how grateful I am that you'd unleash your noble phantasm for me. No. My right hand passes right through these beasts. Huh? Unmoved, Archer shrugged. Do these chimeras use humans as a base? Does this Kabak Alcatraz guy seriously have such poor taste? That is unknown to me. I guess so. With a chuckle, Archer knocked another arrow onto his bow. He'd said that skirmishes weren't his strong suit, and it didn't seem from his behavior that he was lying. Once more, the two servants danced. Just as my mind nearly became overcome by fear and chaos at the revelation of human-based chimeras, their brilliant dance of death, as they took down the beasts with scorpion tails and limbs twice as thick as a lion's... limbs twice as thick as a lion's, made me forget all about it. Secondly, Castor and Manaka crushed the advancing golems. Their advance was like a wall closing in on them, a horde of countless colossi. Good word that even a combination of arrows and strikes from his right hand could not penetrate. Even Assassin's dirks, which he hurled like bullets, couldn't bring them down in a single blow. They were most likely trying to crush us under the weight of their massive bodies. That advance was being held back by magecraft from both the Age of Gods and innate talent. With her arm wrapped around Manaka's slender waist, Castor floated into the air as large magic circles formed around her. Destructive grand magecraft, beams of magical energy triggered by some mechanism unlike any incantation I've ever seen, shattered the golems. Was I surprised by this power? No. My rational mind told me it was perfectly possible for grand magecraft incantations to carry out destruction on this scale. What truly astounded me was the simple fact that she was casting spells of that magnitude continuously and simultaneously over such short spans of time. Putting it simply, it was a continuous barrage of immediate coordinated attacks. It was impossible. Even if it were a member of the Sheklon Cantil Brigade. What is that? That sounds like a thing from, El Malloy. I'm Googling this. What is that? Oh, frick, it's a Tsukihime 2 thing? What? Whoa, 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 where, because I'm like, why does this look familiar? Okay, hold up. Where is it on this page? It said it was on this page, but where is it? What? She's a wizard marshal. So Bartholomew Lorelei is she's the one who is part of the... Let me see here. I'm real curious. I'm trying to find information because it says it's on this page, but then I go there. Oh, right here. Well, she herself is a brilliant magus. She's a wizard marshal who is commanded over the Chelon Canticle Brigade, otherwise known as the Kuron no Daitai. 50 elite magi with the capability to act as branch heads if they wished to annihilate their enemies, call them Okay, wow, okay, that's a freaking Tsukihime 2 thing. That's cool as hell. I love that's part of this. Cool. Anyways, even if it were a member of the Chelon... I'm going to double check the spelling. Chelon Canticle Brigade, yep. Even if it were a member of the Chelon Canticle Brigade that I'd heard rumors about, it was unthinkable for a single magus to be capable of such a feat. This was magecraft from the Age of Gods, wielded by the legendary magus Castor. I mean, it is funny, it's a legendary magus Castor, because I don't think they've said her name yet, right? But I'm going to say instead of because the legendary magus Castor makes it sound like that's her name, right? Let's go with wielded by this legendary. Yeah, right. I was stunned. The thought of it alone left me speechless. The only reason I didn't lose consciousness was because the overall situation allowed me to remain calm. Hey, Castor, there is still some over on the left, right? Yes, you're right, Manaka. I was thinking of leaving them to those two gentlemen over there, but I wonder if that might be too harsh. The exchange between two girls, Manaka and Castor's gentle conversation, may have also been keeping my sanity intact. Oh, that's right. A group of colossal statues was reappearing on the right. Maybe it was because I had a high vantage point, but I could see the entire corridor much more clearly than when I was on the ground. Even for me, this wasn't my first time in the air. I never did with magecraft, but I'd used airplanes and gliders. Things like that. I never mastered flying on a broomstick either. No, I'm sorry, is that a real thing in the Nasuverse? I don't think we've ever heard that, have we? This was completely different. The idea that mankind had truly attained the ability to travel through the skies must have been a lie. Was this what it felt like to truly fly? To dance through the sky? Maybe it also had something to do with the fact that Castor had a sort of weight reduction spell on Manaka's body. I felt as light as a feather. So light that Castor could hold it with just one of her slender arms. Still, you're doing amazing, everyone. Manaka's voice, cheerful to the point of being giddy, radiant, with the tone of a beautiful young girl, even as several magic circles unfolded around her. Even though we are at such an amusing disadvantage, look now. We're at such an advantage that it's fun now. Thirdly, man-made killer puppets met the path of Saber's sword and vanished. The automata that crawled freely across the walls and ceilings as they attacked, using three-dimensional maneuvers that were virtually impossible for an ordinary human to perceive, to sever an intruder's neck instantly. Wait, what? The automata crawled freely across walls and ceilings as they attacked, using three-dimensional maneuvers that were virtually impossible for any human to perceive. Okay, yeah, I know that does make sense, to sever the intruder's neck instantly. With 8 metallic legs made entirely out of long, slender, sharply angled blades, and plate-like torsos so thin they could be called a joke. Their appearances evoke the image of a spider. Each of their blades struck in an instant, in the blink of an eye. Were cleaved. Okay, so let's go. They were, in the blink of an eye, cleaved in two by a flash of light. There we go. Yeah, that works. What's wrong with that? Why is it coming up with a thing? That's fine. Taking them down one by one? No, not at all. Several of the spider automata were cleaved with a single swing of her sword. Her sword had cast aside its wind sheath. Even within this corridor, there was a beauty that stood out above anything else. Thoughts, hopes, the trail of her golden blade imbued with a radiance that held something precious within it, scattered the spiders. Ha! A sharp exhalation. With it, a flash, a clean cut. Saber had no words. She just kept swinging her sword like a fighting machine. Even if a faint breath did escape her, she had no need for real words. The raging chimeras were being handled by archer and assassin. The advancing golems were being mowed down by Castor. She probably intended purely to fulfill her own duty. Wow, they are just going in as a team already. Look at this. Yeah. Indeed, Saber's judgment was correct. After all, the 4 of them were already perfectly coordinated. As I took in the beauty of her sword's trail, left as a faint arc of light in the air, and sensed the fragments of the strangely light, metallic spider-like figures glittering in the reflection, I recognized it once more through Manaka's eyes as we floated through the air. I thought to myself, was there no one left that could stand up against these 4? Was there anything on this earth they could not destroy? No, there was nothing. Regardless of the mystery at play, any military force brought forth by human civilization, be it a fleet of tanks or even an onslaught of fighter jets and battleships, these 4 would surely shatter them, just like this. They destroyed everything that I defined as harbingers of certain death. They were not singular heroic spirits. They were a party of heroes. The greatest and strongest force in existence. Oh my god. God, this is just an RPG. I love it. I cannot stop thinking about how I would want to open up like RPG Maker and make this into a game. Like, it's all I can do. Countless monsters run rampant in the 7th Labyrinth of Alcatraz. There are certain things worth noting about a specific type of chimera said to dwell there. In the past, there have been those who braved the labyrinth. They were what we call tomb raiders or explorers. The latter in particular often had a level of knowledge when it came to magecraft. Therefore, this information was provided to us by a few survivors among the explorers, though all such parties perished soon after relaying it. According to their accounts, companions who were presumed to have died in a certain trap reappeared sometime later and attacked those who survived. Records indicate that they no longer appeared to be human when they reappeared. The bodies of lions, the tails of scorpions, This does evoke the image of the demonic beast from Greek mythology known as a chimera. In other words, the root of the name chimera that the Major Association Department, studies, okay, sorry, I missed the word studies there, right? The root of the name chimera that the Major Association Department of Zoology studies. It is highly likely that, somewhere in that labyrinth, there exists something which can transform human beings. Humans transformed into monsters. You know what? I don't like reusing the same word. Transmogrified. I don't like using the same word more than once. I know it's the writing style, but we have so many beautiful words that when I see that, I'm going to change it. Though the specific method is still unknown, we can assume that the cause lies in some internal structure likely corresponding to the planetary magic square. Was this the invention of the original dungeon master, Alcatraz himself, or was it the intention of its redesigner, the director of this experiment? Historical records of the seventh labyrinth of Alcatraz, once spoken of as legend, make no mention of curses nor mechanisms that transform humans into monsters. In that case, can we conclude that this was not Alcatraz's intention? The answer is still unclear at this point, but it is valuable material for furthering our deductions nonetheless. Oh, I just realized. If there's one thing we can say for certain, it is this. In this labyrinth, human intruders are no more than synthetic material. Another one. Oops. In the corridors of the labyrinth's third floor, where every last monster had been slaughtered, we floated gently downward. As Monaca landed with Castor's support, I felt the presence of the four servants all the more powerfully from the corner of her being. Just a few hours earlier, Saber was the only one among them who could entrust her. Saber was the only one among them who she could entrust herself to, but things were different now. Archer, Assassin, Castor. The three of them were now undoubtedly Monaca's allies. Well, for the time being, at least. My. I thought it was just a lively demonic beast, but is that a chimera? Yep. When the girl spoke, Archer and Assassin both nodded. Okay, so that was Monaca saying it at first, okay. And not just that, it's a chimera made by forcing a human to turn into one. Yep. They gave another nod. This is Archer and Assassin. Well, that's a shame. Now we can't turn it into food. This is just delicious in dungeon. Monaca's shoulders slumped. She seemed genuinely disappointed. Come to think of it, the chimera would have been the only monsters from the corridor that could be used as food. Stone statues and metal spider puppets certainly couldn't be eaten. If we cooked something like this, it'd be like cannibalism. That's just weird. I couldn't possibly feed that to Saber. It's all right, Monaca. The swordswoman, I've been going and changing them to swordswoman. Because in my mind, I think if we relegate the word swordsman, like the Sky Silver swordsman is Arthur, but anytime it's her, we're going to go swordswoman. I think it just makes more sense. The swordswoman clad in Sky Silver nodded. The stern look in her eyes probably didn't come from the lost opportunity to gather ingredients. Beyond that, I can see the abhorrent nature of the... Ooh, I gotta get the word labyrinth ready. Well, but in this case, she's not referring to the name of it, right? Let's make this, because in this one, right? Beyond that, I can see the abhorrent nature of this labyrinth in earnest now. This place may even be more of a danger to this world than the subspecies Holy Grail itself. Man-made labyrinths have been abhorrent since the days of Daedalus. Oh no, that's okay. That was so this was Saber, right? Well, it makes sense. The stern look in her eyes. Okay. Beyond that, I see the abhorrent nature of this labyrinth in earnest. Yeah. Man-made labyrinths, my dear swordswoman. The ancient magus gave a light retort. Did she have a deep understanding of labyrinths and did she have a deeper understanding of labyrinths and mazes than any of us? I do not deny it, Castor. The swordswoman murmured, fixing her gaze on her. Suddenly, I found myself having a fairly out-of-place thought. 4 servants and 1 person. Heroic spirits with immense power and a young magus who was surely some sort of genius. Their expressions and the way they spoke to one another were so natural. Watching the exchange, it felt so natural that I had the illusion that they were comrades who had challenged the labyrinth together for a long time. Yeah, that's a capital one. Yeah, we're gonna use that one there. So that they were comrades who had challenged it for a long time. Like, I would say, like, I get what it's being said. It's like, it implies that they have been challenging it, right? They've been challenging the labyrinth together for a long time, right? I even found myself fantasizing about them sitting in some seedy pub, arguing over drinks about who would take ownership of which looted artifacts. This is just a D&D RPG. I love it. I almost forgot it. That tension from earlier. That feeling that we were face to face with death. Forgot? No, never. That was impossible. Definitely not. I wanted to forget, but I couldn't. There's no way I'll ever forget something like that, not for my entire life. Even someone who existed as little more than a fragment of her own consciousness could bring the memories forth. It wasn't that long ago. Facing Castor, who had just defeated the boss on the second floor's Great Hall, Manaka spoke softly. Your magical energy. Are you sure it's okay to use that much? Hearing that single sentence from Manaka, spoken through a body that should have been mine, I was close to losing consciousness 3 or 4 times. On the other hand, Manaka was surely smiling, without any sign of fear or hesitation, even though her words could so easily be taken as provocation. Certainly, Castor did consume an immense amount of magical energy, having obliterated thousands of killer insects with a single barrage of grand magecraft. While it was still a pure statement of fact, it was also tantamount to an implication that with so little magical energy left, Saber could cut her in two at any moment. I could only imagine what lay behind Castor's returned smile, as she didn't reply. I tried desperately to close our eyelids, but Manaka refused to shut them. I could only stare at Castor's lustrous, well-shaped lips and the beautiful curve of her jawline. To be fair, damn, that is the most beautiful part of her because that's all you can really see in her outfit. I could sense Saber's tension close behind, trying to protect Manaka from any unseen danger. Ready to explode at any moment. Desperate life or death, a fatal situation. If Castor lost her temper, then it would all be over. I could imagine it, what a battle would have looked like. Even if Saber defeated Castor and remained, Manaka and I would have vanished by then. I prayed to something other than God. I cursed myself for the fact that I had stopped going to church every Sunday many years ago. And then, mercilessly, fate rolled its dice. Yes. Oh my god, even this, like, the D&D, like, sort of comparisons are so obvious. Yes, it's just as the girl says. Oh wait. Yes, it's just as the girl says. Facing him alone would have been unsettling. With his white skull mask alone glowing in the shadows, he went on. If I had any genuine faith left in me, I would have been sure that an angel had descended upon us and when I saw the eerie mask. Of course, he was no angel. A heroic spirit skilled in stealth and assassination. Assassin. The single phrase he spoke saved our lives. I suppose so. A few seconds later, Castor gave a light nod. May I assume that you don't have any hostile intentions, brave young lady? A quiet reply. Composed words with rational discussion as their premise. Immediately after that, Archer appeared saying, I was the one who said we should work together, you know. Wow, it just worked out. And so the party, Manaka and 4 heroic spirits, unanimously agreed to a temporary alliance. By compensating for each their strengths and weaknesses within the labyrinth, they would work together to conquer the deepest reaches of the 4th floor. That single remark from Manaka was, without a doubt, the catalyst for it all. More than that, I think the statement from the angel, or rather assassin, played a role too. Even if they agreed to the temporary alliance, it was clear that the heroic spirits had gathered inevitably to fight one another. Their exploration of the labyrinth would involve gauging how much their true capabilities they could reveal and how much they could compromise in the context of their alliance. How far they would compromise. Given that, There was no hope for true ideal coordination. Could they really reach the deepest depths of the labyrinth without that coordination? My concern, my unfounded fear, all of it was shattered by the low voice that resounded through the white mask. What did he do? It was an act that reminded us that heroic spirits were, after all, heroes. Yes, Assassin revealed to the other three with a tone and inflection that suggested that doing so was perfectly natural. He had to be a renowned heroic spirit, even if he wasn't an angel. I have a great many skills, though they may be useful in a labyrinth such as this one. There are simply too many foes that my signature miracle fails to pierce. Therefore, I shall gladly accept this alliance. Gonna copy that. I couldn't believe it, but it was the undeniable truth. With his own mouth, even if not completely, okay, that's fair. I was gonna say, I wonder if they're gonna, yeah. He had revealed the capabilities of his noble phantasm. Oh, well, no, but with his own, okay, but no, I mean, he still used his mouth, even if it's behind the mask. I'd heard that certain adjustments made to Fuyuki's Holy Grail, which was said to be the prototype for all subspecies Holy Grails, caused its servants to not only include heroes, but anti-heroes, or rather evil entities. But I was certain that Assassin was not one of them. In fact, the noble phantasm he wielded, an extraordinary technique in which his long, twisted black arm could create a copy of the heart of the enemy, copy of their heart by touching its enemy, then destroying it through a sort of sympathetic magecraft, was exactly as he described. What a surprise. Who would have thought an assassin would be so straightforward? Of course, this does not mean I've revealed everything about myself. I guess that's true. Neither familiarity nor dependence. Archer and Assassin's conversation maintained a unique sort of tension rooted in their inevitable battle to the death. Even so, surely it was no coincidence that Assassin's decisive choice to reveal so much about himself had impacted the other three. Or maybe, with each of them having advanced through the labyrinth alone into the end of the second floor, they were each forced to recognize their own abilities, even if they wouldn't go as far as to give out their own noble phantasms. I'd prefer to lean toward the former, if I can. I want to believe that Assassin is a noble person. Comparing the information available about the four of them, he was the only one who demonstrated his noble phantasm so clearly. Okay, so we got another sort of page here. Understanding could never grant a wish. She wants to destroy it. I think so now we're getting into a bit more just of the new stuff here. Strike Air, Holy Sword, capabilities unknown. Okay, so you don't know all of it at this point. Okay. Hopes to destroy, acts like a thief and a scout, sabotage, magical energy supplies insecure, concealment question mark, caster, versatile and powerful magecraft, especially against groups, magical energy supplies insecure, struggles in sustained combat. The servant summoned by the subspecies Holy Grail has no master, hopes to take the Grail. Okay, so these two hope to take it, and these two want to destroy it. That is interesting. Skilled at infiltration exploration, a one-hit kill against human-type enemies, magical energy supplies insecure, ineffective against monsters without hearts, delusional heartbeat, Zabania. Setting aside Assassin's integrity, an assessment of the four servants would most likely look like this. Even a layperson like me, who doesn't know much about the Holy Grail War heroic spirits, even two, a layperson like me, who doesn't know much about the Holy Grail War heroic spirits, it was immediately clear that by banding together, they gained a significant advantage in exploring the labyrinth. For Saber, above all else, having the other three by her side drastically increased Monaka's chance of survival. Archer and Assassin found themselves faced with hordes of monsters that they struggled to beat far less often. Caster's combat abilities were compensated by her allies. If exploring and clearing the labyrinth was their primary objective, then fighting together was indeed the best course of action. Monaka realized the fact and brilliantly achieved it. If I were in her place, my spirit would have been crushed the moment I dared to even think of approaching Caster, but the girl who used my body as her own didn't hesitate for an instant. On the contrary, ever since they made the decision to fight together, she had been in the highest of spirits. Even having conquered the Great Corridor, among the most difficult challenges of the third floor, that hadn't changed. I've never gotten along with four heroic spirits before. She seemed genuinely happy. Her smile was radiant, gentle, and cheerful, blooming like a flower. When you put it that way, it sounds like you've gotten along with other heroic spirits. Did you win some other subspecies Holy Grail war? Mm-hmm. Maybe. Or no, that was, okay, this is... One thing I don't love is that this quote will come up and you're like, who? And then it's, okay, it's Archer, right? When you put it that way, it sounds like you've gotten along with other heroic spirits. Did you win some other subspecies Holy Grail war? Mm-hmm. Maybe I did. Manaka tilted her head at the bowman. In any case, you must be... let's see here. Okay, at the masked man. In any case, you must be quite a remarkable young girl to step out in front of Castor entirely unguarded like that. Castor's so beautiful after all. Manaka shook her head at the masked man. That's nice of you, Manaka, but make sure not to forget, okay? Our objectives for the subspecies Holy Grail differ. Let's go. As our objectives for the subspecies Holy Grail differ, we'll be enemies in the end. You mustn't let your guard down. Yeah, you're right, Manaka nodded at the witch. Regardless, I'm glad that you're unhurt, Master, replying to Saber, who had finally sheathed her holy sword once more. Thank you, Saber. A faint smile. Oh, wow. If it were me, I'd have spent an hour thinking about how to reply to just one servant, but you replied without hesitation. I have to acknowledge it. Appreciate it. Manaka. Seijo Manaka. You always wear the same smile, staring down monsters and heroes. For a girl like you, there must be nothing to fear in this world. And so, a full day had passed since their encounter in the depths of the second floor, roughly half a day since their battle in the corridor. Manaka and her party of 4 heroic spirits were proceeding steadily through the 3rd floor of the labyrinth. The monsters were numerous and powerful enough alone, but there were also traps and highly difficult passageways that combined magecraft and puzzles, trapped treasure chests, cursed items within treasure chests, and more. As the difficulty of proceeding had clearly skyrocketed compared to the 1st and 2nd floors, Assassin and Archer had moved ahead to detect and disarm traps, while Castor and Manaka formed a rear guard protected by Saber. When combat broke out, they got into formation just as they had before and adapted their strategy to suit the specifics of the monsters they fought. Presumably, they had to be about halfway through the 3rd floor. They would surely reach the Grand Hall where the boss awaited them by tomorrow. Yes, in the back of Manaka's mind, that was what I was thinking. What's this? Manaka was the first to speak up. Needless to say, Assassin Archer surely noticed it first. Even Saber, who Manaka claimed had an intuition skill, might have sensed it in a way, even if it wasn't a clear realization. It was Castor who had mentioned the presence of steam. Apparently, she had sensed fire and water at work, along with the magecraft to make them work. Even with my body and senses disconnected, I finally understood. What drifted from the depths of the stone passageway, what Manaka's gaze was fixed to. It was the remnant of heated steam. In other words, is that steam? It could be poisonous, Manaka. Covering her mouth with one hand, Saber shielded the girl vigilantly. Nah, it ain't poison or anything. Archer waved his hand. Oh, are you well versed in poisons, Archer? Assassin turned his mask toward him. I don't know about that. Actually, aren't you the poison expert around here, Mr. Assassin? There are many in my creed with skill at using poisons, but I am comparably average, unfortunately. I do wonder what average would mean in this case. It does not matter, gentlemen. Could you please go investigate? Aye, aye. Understood. They obeyed Castor's calm yet unquestionable command. Having completed their reconnaissance, they returned to report that, whether you could call it thoughtlessness or thoughtfulness, sarcasm, playfulness, or a challenge from the creator who built the labyrinth, there was a manifestation of some kind of service mentality akin to treasure chests that they'd found throughout the halls. A hall with a vast ancient architectural style. A vast amount of water lapping gently. Not cold, but warm, enough that you could call it a bath. The steam that clung mostly to their skin, hair, and clothes were emanating from there. Oh, my freaking screen thing turned on because it's 10 o'clock and it's okay. No, actually, I want to turn that off. It's, 10 o'clock, the screen color changes. That's, like, super annoying because it's way too dark now. All right. In other words, a hot spring. Charmingly, Monaca tilted her head. Yes, like a public bathhouse. I've heard that the bathhouses from the Roman Empire were built in this style. Saber nodded to Castor, who murmured nostalgically. Assassin was the next to speak. It's like paradise. Scooping up some water, he added, I see. There is some sort of magical energy infused into the water. Is it a magical spring of some sort? Either way, it's a blessing. There aren't any monsters around, so let's just replenish our magical energy, all right? Archer looked around as he made the suggestion, but a strange fleeting silence fell over them. No one replied for a moment. Barely 2 seconds passed, but those 2 seconds felt desperately long. It was like they thought that whoever spoke next would determine the next course of events. No, I was the one thinking that. I was sure of it. And when I saw those pink lips gently part, well, I was more certain than ever. Yeah, it was practically decided already. Sure. Naturally, it was Monaca who spoke up. I was thinking the same thing. Wiping sweat just isn't enough. Okay, where are we going with this? Is it settled then? Wait a moment. We should remain calm. You aren't seriously asking that I strip naked in the middle of this labyrinth? Saber did raise an objection, but the course of events had already been decided. Actually, Saber, there's a partition. See that rock wall? We can split up by gender. But Monaca, it would be troublesome if we were attacked while disarmed. Don't lie, Saber. You can go back to combat mode in one breath. Well, that's true, but Castor, what if there is some sort of water demon? We can handle whatever comes our way. You don't mind me, do you? Yeah, it's fine with me. That's one vote in favor. I don't mind either. Same here. I guess that settles it. Saber looked like she objected to the very end, but she couldn't stop Monaca from rushing ahead, pulling at her still armor-clad arm, nor could she bring herself to put down the girl's curiosity about the hot spring that suddenly appeared in a deadly labyrinth. So in the end, that was how it turned out. Okay, I didn't know it was a bathing chapter. This is my first time sharing a bath with so many people. Is that so? Yeah. Girl to girl. Or maybe Magus to heroic spirit. There was a certain liveliness to their conversation. It's also my first time bathing with just girls. This labyrinth is a lot of trouble, but it's giving me so many wonderful new experiences. You're such a pure girl, Master. My, but aren't you the same, Saber? I suppose so. Your skin, your body, they're so beautiful. If there's such a thing as purity in this world, it would surely describe you. Liveliness. A girl's charm, her endearing purity, fleeting like a flower. Even with the noble pretext of replenishing their magical energy, the aura emanating from them as they this is going to sound weird to say aloud, but here we go! As they soak their naked bodies in the warm spring, so rich with magical energy, felt like something far beyond anything I'd seen in our previous expeditions through the labyrinth. I'm scared to scroll down. There's a picture. Oh no. It was beautiful. It made me think of a garden in full bloom. I never thought I'd get the chance to soak in a bath like this. It's not hard to use magecraft to maintain cleanliness, but the sweet sensation of warm water gliding over my skin is another thing entirely. Was it worth coming here? Oh, wait. Oh, no, I think this is Castor then. Okay. Was it worth coming here, Castor? Yes, Monaca. It's quite nice. I was taken aback by how beautiful Castor was when she took off her hood. Even if the glimpses I'd gotten of her lips had given me the expectation that she was a stunning woman, actually seeing her like this was another thing entirely. Eyes the same color as her long flowing hair, the figure that was hidden beneath the loose-fitting robe. Everything about her was brimming with the charm of a fully grown woman, She actually made me acutely aware of how immature my own body was before it became Manaka's. If I could even have a tenth of her charm, I could, well, all sorts of things. Saber? My gaze involuntarily shifted back to the heroic spirit of the sword. Manaka had total control of my body. I could only see what she chose to see. Okay, we're going to scroll down. Okay. Okay. Well, this is a lot. I can see more. I'm just going to quickly go past it. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Okay. Well, okay. Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot there, actually. Grab the book yourself to read it. I do like, they are cowards for not showing us what it looks like for friggin' assassin to be doing that, but okay. And so I found myself looking at Saber. Her body was distinct from Castor's. The slender body of a girl older than Manaka, which could be described most aptly with the single word, cute, was hard to mistake as the sturdy physique of a swordswoman who cut down virtually every foe with a holy sword. Even if I could sense the presence of supple good! Yes! Good! Good. I'm very happy they acknowledge her muscles. Even if I could sense the presence of supple muscles under her skin, her complexion was as pale as Manaka's or Castor's. Even as a woman, I could find myself captivated by her. Yes, a woman. The King Arthur of legend, in the form of a naked woman. You really are a girl. It's so strange. No, strange is too rude. It feels amazing somehow. Yes, amazing. A voice escaped my lips. I thought it was mine, but no, it was Manaka's whisper. Staring at Saber, she tried to emerge her body up to her shoulders. Staring. Okay, what are we doing? What are we doing? Staring. Can I have a better look at you? No, Manaka, you mustn't stare at me that way. Oh my god, what are we doing? What are we... Like... I don't know how to feel about what's going on right now. Okay. We're both girls, aren't we? Oh my god, what am I reading? No need to be shy, it's fine. Inching. Manaka moved closer. It's too late to stop her now, I thought. Saber, sensing something, moved to get out of the bath at the same time. Kya! With a playful cry, Manaka threw herself into Saber's arms. Both slick with magical energy-infused spring water, skin touched skin. Oh, they were totally flush. I wasn't even able to feel the sensation of it. My entire body was under Manaka's control. I did have sight, sound, and smell, but I was totally cut off from touch and taste. I couldn't describe what the embrace must have felt like. Yep, can't describe it. Master, this is... I promised Whoa! I promised myself I wouldn't touch my saber, that I'd hold back, but yeah, it doesn't count if it's you, does it? Doesn't count. Manaka, what are you talking about? Yeah, Saber's bewildered voice echoed outward. Impossibly, the chattering of girls filled one room in a labyrinth full of death. Leaving aside the two men on the other side of the wall, I thought Castor might say something to put a stop to Manaka's prank. I don't know if I should say I was surprised, but oh boy, yeah, here we go. Let me touch you next, Saber. That reminds me, I have a white dress ready for you to wear after our bath. Castor, It's a lovely dress. It'd look great on you, Saber. Manaka! Oh my god. Like, that is the definition of fan service. And yet, at the same time, it fills me with a reminder of there was a time when, like, every sort of, like, RPG would have something like that, you know? Anyways, the 7th layer of Alcatraz is generally considered to be impossible for humans to penetrate. So what could possibly conquer this den of evil? Our current conclusion is that only a being with capabilities surpassing ordinary humans could hope to challenge it. This notion is by no means a preposterous one. Even leaving aside the true nature of Cowbeck Alcatraz, the original creator of the Labyrinth himself, there are many examples throughout history of beings that surpass humans existing as tangible entities. Phantasmal species, for example. And then there are heroic spirits, whose nature as guardians brings them extraordinary power. As Magi, we've acquired a means, however limited it may be, to command these heroic spirits who should be beyond reach. The subspecies Holy Grail. Under the conditions of a subspecies Holy Grail war, the summoning of heroic spirits is made possible through the use of one of many counterfeit Holy Grails. Again, because we talked about counterfeit earlier, so we're gonna say, what's a good... Do we have synonyms on here? What's a good synonym for counterfeit? Let's look. Oh, I know. I used a good word here. I used it earlier there. I switched it out because we have the counterfeit Holy Grail was a thing earlier. I've been using the word ersatz because not only is it a good word, but it literally is a product made as a substitute of inferior value. It's the perfect word. One of the many ersatz Holy Grails modeled after the Greater Grail said to have existed in the far eastern, oh, right, that's always getting capitalized, far eastern city of Fuyuki. In that case, what significance is there in holding a subspecies Holy Grail war within the Labyrinth specifically? Is the objective to have the summoned heroic spirits clear the Labyrinth? Well, that sounds logical, but leaves a major question. If the goal of the new architect of the Labyrinth, who is not Alcatraz himself, was to conquer the Labyrinth, would that objective not already have been achieved the moment a subspecies Holy Grail was placed in the depths of the 4th floor, right? Because then someone had to go down there. We must wait for more information. That said, several days have already passed since the entrance to the Labyrinth was sealed. I hope that our collaborators and my disciple who are ahead of me are safe. Okay, so I was thinking that this is El Malloy, but this makes me feel that this is 100% El Malloy. Okay. Because it sort of sounded like him in his reading style, right? Okay, so intriguing. It's entirely possible that all 4 of them will reach the 4th floor without the loss of a single one. In the darkness, a figure spoke. It was unclear if the words were directed toward anyone. A soliloquy, maybe? Or was it some sort of report directed to someone listening in from elsewhere? Did they summon particularly powerful heroic spirits? Or was their teamwork just exceptionally efficient? In any case, this far exceeds my calculations. For them to clear the 3rd floor without a single casualty. Is that spelt right? Because casualty and causality look way too close. That is the correct one, okay. Yeah, because cause would be CAU. For them to work to clear the 3rd floor without casualty, could this unexpected variable, the Master, have caused such a disruption? Well, never mind that. No matter the reason, in the darkness, a figure spoke, exposing a sickly pale skin to faint reddish glow of magical energy. I hope you can reach the end with your spiritual cores intact, Guardians. And so, we reached the grand hall in the depths of the 3rd floor. The boss that awaited us there was like a phantasmal, was like a chimera. It seemed to have the characteristics of an automata too. Its entire body was brimming with magical energy and shrouded in mystery, with traits that seemed to blend a snake, a reptile, and a bat, along with limbs covered in scales as thick as metal armor. Speaking of its form, it bore a striking resemblance to the dragons found in legends from around the world. When they pried open the heavy door leading to the great hall to look at what lay within, the first emotions that entered my mind were despair, resignation, and regret. Basically, the kind of cowardice I usually had on display. Even with the seemingly invincible party of 4 heroes by our side, the thought of death entered my mind again. Dragonkind. Dragon. A being that mankind could never hope to defeat. The strongest fiend on the planet that said only heroes can slay beyond the reach of any blade in the hand of one who isn't a hero. The pinnacle of phantasmals. Being that stood there was not an actual dragon, it was an artificial monster modeled after one. In other words, a dragon golem. Hey, can you hear me? My saber. My Arthur Pendragon. I've done so many things in this labyrinth without you. With the girl who isn't you but has a holy sword and blue and silver armor just like you. I've played with all sorts of monsters and cooked lots of meals. I've expanded my repertoire. I've endured loneliness, the loneliness and sadness, all of it. No, Saber, I'll tell the truth. It's been so sad and lonely. I've been holding back tears this whole time. Just a little. It's been fun. Even with this body that's so much weaker than mine, I've enjoyed conquering this labyrinth with the you who isn't you, plus assassin, archer, and caster. Okay, so she's like doing a speech during the fight here, okay. Is the boss of the floor a dragon? It certainly looks like one, but no, it's not a proper dragon kind. It's just an artificial imitation of one. I'm impressed that it has a core equivalent to a magical energy reactor, but it's ultimately still just a golem. You're as knowledgeable as ever, caster. I have some experience with dragons. I'll take the front. Archer and I will protect Miss Manaka, while you keep it in check. Aye, aye. In that case, I suppose I'll provide backup for you two. I'm sorry. You're the only one for me. But forgive me, it's definitely not like I'm cheating. It's not like that at all, is it? But I am gaining things from it. This labyrinth has taught me a little something, that everyone working together as a team, such a wonderful thing. Come on, just a little more. Let's work together and do our best, okay? Yeah, so this is her, like, speaking to him there. Okay. Act 4 is next. All right, guys. That was a shorter chapter for sure, right? Definitely a little shorter, that one. That sounds good. We'll see you guys next time for Act 4 as we continue on with Fate Labyrinth. And we see where we go from there, because we're going to reach the 4th floor, which is the last floor, apparently. So it's exciting to see what comes up. We'll see you guys then. Ciao.